What is up, On-Chain Gamers? My name is Jake. Welcome to On-Chain Gaming. So glad you guys are back for another video. Today, I'm going to be diving into Townstar. And I know this is a long one, but this is one of those videos where if you're trying to learn how to play Townstar, you want to get a little bit better at it, you want to learn how some of the mechanics work, then this is something that you should turn on kind of while you're playing. You could listen to me explaining how the game works on the background, or if you have two monitors, or maybe you can play on your computer while watching on your phone, and you can kind of just follow along as I'm building up my town and climbing from 2,000 to the top 300. And now in the current Townstar tournament, I'm now climbing up into like the top 140, top 150, I think, before Townstar crashed, and it should be back up soon, I believe. But before it crashed, I was like 145 trying to break into that top 100. So this video is just going to lay out the very basics, how to create a self-sustaining farm, how to get your gas set up so that you won't run out of gas, so that then you are in the perfect position to scale into one of the top tier, top selling Townstar items. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you find it helpful, and after you've watched it, you have a much better idea. You have your foundation that you need to become a Townstar master mayor. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Remember to leave a big thumbs up if you do, and also remember to hit subscribe so that you don't miss any future blockchain gaming videos. Without further ado, let's hop into the Townstar gameplay.
On-Chain Gaming.
So the first thing you're going to want to do is just go into the description if you don't have a Gala Games account yet, and click my link to create your Gala Games account. And the reason you want to use my referral link is because if you do that, we'll both get 100 Gala for free if you create an account with my referral link to play Townstar. So then you're going to want to click over to games after you have your account. You can see that I have my account here. And then you're going to go to Townstar and play now. And right now, Townstar is having a Mayhem month and $1 million in prizes. So they have 4 really big tournaments this month. It's definitely something that you should want to compete in because it's completely free to play. It's really fun. And then you have a chance to win a lot of money. I think if you finish in the top 300, and we'll look at the leaderboards a little bit later. If you finish in the top 300, then you make a minimum of $300 worth of Gala. So pretty good deal. And for those of you guys who don't know, Townstar is a blockchain game, which means that there's items in this game that are on the blockchain that are non-fungible tokens and have real ownership, can be resold on third-party marketplaces like OpenSea. So it's just a game that has real ownership for players. So I'm going to choose to go down here. The reason for that is because, well, actually before I do this, if you're close to a town, then your deliveries cost less gas. So it's actually a really big advantage. And then I want to be near an ocean because I want to make cakes. And in order to have your salt biomes produce salt, you have to be near an ocean, or I mean, they still can produce salt if you're not near an ocean, but it takes a lot longer. So we're going to go down into the city, and you can see this is now my brand new farm. I'll turn on sound for you guys actually. Normally I listen to my own music and stuff, but for YouTube, so we don't get copyright claimed, we'll listen to the Townstar soundtrack, and it's actually pretty nice. It's pretty relaxing. So for those of you guys who don't know, this game was created by the same team behind Farmville, and I think it's a lot more fun version of Farmville. And then also I really love the blockchain aspect. For example, because I actually have a blockchain trading depot, I can sell this truck, get a little extra $1,200, and then I have just an Express Depot NFT that I can place down because I own it. It's instant. Most things you have to build, but NFTs you can place down instantly. And then I'm actually going to do this kind of like tutorial. And by the way, this truck is exactly the same as the other one, so it's not really that big of an advantage. It's just, it's honestly just a cool thing. And I can actually sell this truck. I think it's selling for like $10, but you get this truck for free if you join Gala Gold, which costs $10, so it's not for free. But then you could just sell it on OpenSea, still have Gala Gold, and get your money back, I guess. But yeah, I also have a Alpha Fountain NFT, which will help produce water to my crops. But I want to do this a little bit more like a tutorial to new players. And guys, these NFTs, they don't determine whether you win or lose. You can easily finish in the top 300 without any NFTs. So yeah, I'm actually not going to use this fountain just because I want to help you guys learn how to play this game. So the whole time, oh, we're searching for a connection here. So one thing you will notice is the connection, it's not perfect. And part of that is because the node ecosystem is fairly new, and sometimes people just shut off their nodes and the system doesn't, like, it takes a little bit of time for it to find a new node for your game to play on. And I don't know if that's going to be something that can be solved. Like maybe if your game is running on more than one node, so if one node pops off, you don't have to reconnect or something. I don't know, but that's just part of this decentralized node ecosystem that Gala Games are running on. But yeah, so this whole time my farmer has been collecting some wheat. So we're actually going to sell wheat. So in order to sell things, you'll see that I have money in the top right, as well as some gas in the top right. In order to sell things, it costs a gas because your truck has to drive there, but then it gives you money in return. So this trip will take 34 seconds because I'm relatively close to a city. But like I said, if you're far away from a city, it can cost like 4 or 5 gas. And that's really bad because you'll notice that I have a fuel storage here with 39 gas, but I'm not creating any gas. So this farm is totally not self-sustaining. Like if I didn't do anything and I just continued to sell wheat here until I ran out of gas, then my farm just would stop producing money. And you need to produce money in order to get points. So you see we just made that sale and now I have 10 points. So if we go to the leaderboard here, I am in 2010 because we just started this game, but this tournament has been going for quite a few hours. I think it's been going for maybe 6 hours or something like that, maybe less than that. But yeah, 159,000 points is the #1 guy, which is not that much. Just to get into the top 300. And this tournament's going to be 5 days, by the way. So this game is more like the long haul type of like relaxing game, grab a coffee and just slowly design a nice town that can generate you a lot of points. It's not very stress filled, which is why I've kind of been very lax so far in even how I've been setting up this town. But yeah, you can see this guy's in the money with only 4,900 points. So you're going to need a lot more than that by the end of this tournament. But I'm just saying, I'm not actually that far behind right now. It's going to be very easy for me, I believe, to climb into the top 300. So I actually want to stop producing wheat. It's a little bit sad. I'm going to leave this here actually and let him gather actually a whole another 9 because I want to completely empty my silo of wheat actually. So we're going to sell this wheat as well. The reason for that is because the strategy I'm going to be teaching you is one that I learned from a YouTube video and have kind of been perfecting on my own. And it is a sugar rush strategy where you start selling sugar and then with your self-sustaining sugar farm, you then are able to generate enough money to create some gas production and then create a truly self-sustaining town. So that's going to be the goal for us. So in order to, I think, farm really efficiently, it's important that you don't have to water any of your plants. So you can see that this wheat, because it's next to a pond, this pond generates 2 water to those directly near it. And then this marsh generates 1 water to things directly near it. So this wheat is actually getting 3 water automatically just based on what's around it. So this wheat never has to be watered. So whereas this wheat, well, actually, I'm not going to do a wheat. I'm going to drop a sugar over here, which actually should be auto-watered, I believe. but it's just because there's so much water here. Sugar actually needs a lot of water. Yeah, so this sugar cane is auto watered here just because there's so much water around. But I guess I'll waste a little bit of money here just to show you guys this. If I were to put a wheat here though, you'll see it actually has 0 of 8 water. So this spot is actually passively getting 8 water. Which is really, really powerful for growing sugar, because in order for this to grow, this farmer, you'll see he'll try to grab a bucket here. He would actually, oh no, he's going for the sweet. That's good. Grabbing a bucket would be a waste of time for him. He would have to run water back and forth 8 times before this even started growing. So no, this is bad. This is a very inefficient crop. So keep that in mind, guys. You want to design your farm so that all of your crops are auto growing. So you'll see here now, we have 2 crops that are up, but only 1 farmer running back and forth. So we definitely need another farmer to get to work here. So I'm just gonna drop a road right here. I like to build my farms kind of off, or my housing kind of off into the side, where it's not gonna be blocking anything. So in order to build a farmhouse though, you need to first put down a road. So I'll click terrain, dirt road. We'll build this. Once the road is constructed, I can hit shop again, go to farm, and create my farmhouse. Now the farmhouse takes 1 wood to construct. So now my builder who's over here, and you start with a builder automatically, but I could remove this and then you can build another builder if you want. But my builder is going to be grabbing this wood, bringing it over here in order to construct this farmhouse. And you'll notice that I'm not producing wood either. So eventually I am going to want to also add a lumberjack house. And the lumberjack is like a prerequisite to building. So the lumberjack doesn't actually take a wood to construct. But I'm not going to finish building him yet. The reason for that is that right now, this is not passively costing me anything. But this, when I do construct it, is going to start passively costing me money. Because this worker right here, as well as this farmer right here, they cost your farm money in order to do work. So you'll notice in the top left, it says 50, and there is this kind of timer that is slowly going to tick down. And every minute, when it ticks all the way down, you have to pay your farmers and everyone else that you have working at your farm. I know a minute is pretty crazy. They like to get paid very often. But if you don't have enough money to actually pay your farmers, they'll just stop working. They'll actually destroy whatever they're holding and they'll just go back to work. I mean, they'll just go back to their house and go to sleep. They will not go back to work until you have money again to pay them. So I'm going to click this farmer and turn this farmer house on, and you'll notice that the expenses that I have every minute are going to go up. So, yep, I clicked him. He costs $10 a minute, and instead of 50 a minute, now my farm costs 60 a minute to operate. So eventually I am going to want to start filling this up, but for now, I am okay not clicking him yet. But what I am going to do is we need a more efficient way, I think, to sell our wheat, to sell our sugarcane. So I have to remember to watch out. As soon as this hits 10, I'm actually going to get rid of this wheat. And then our silo can only be used for sugarcane, which makes the operations of the farm much, much simpler. Oftentimes, if you're trying to put too many things in your silo, it will fill all the way up, and then your farmers won't have anywhere to put stuff. So you could build another silo, or you could just be a little bit more efficient on what you're farming and make sure that you have room here, because there's really no reason for us this early in the game to grow 2 things. Later on, I will actually want wheat again. And this is only one strategy as well. You could totally make something more valuable from wheat as well. But the next goal for our farm is to stop selling things that are just very raw, because if you develop them into more compelling products, they'll actually sell for a lot more. Like even gasoline, you'll see if we click gasoline, gasoline's pretty hard to make, and it's actually worth 14,500 to sell. So sometimes, guys, if you need to, you can actually sell a couple of your gasoline early on if you need a little bit of money in order to get your farm up and running. But I try not to sell my gasoline until very last minute, unless I like really need it. But I am going to sell this wheat here because we did get 10, and I'm going to remember. Oh no, that's really unfortunate. It's fine. We'll just have to flush our silo eventually, but there's going to be one wheat stuck in there, which is why I wanted a perfect sale so we didn't have to have any wheat in there, but it's not that big of a deal. All right. But what we're going to do next is, even though you'll see that wheat sells for a little bit, I mean, it's that sugar cane sells for a little bit more than wheat, we can get a lot more for our sugar cane. So in order to do that, though, we're going to have to come down here and buy our first windmill. We'll also accept that money right there. So now this windmill is actually going to take 5 wood. So now that's quite a bit of wood. And we're going to want to build more windmills as well. So now it's actually fine for our lumberjack to get to work. You'll see now he added 50 a minute to our cost. So he almost doubled the cost of our farm, but he instantly gets to work and he's going to start refilling this with wood. Now he is probably going to fill this up. We're going to have to keep this person at work if we want to make sure that this kind of goes efficiently and his time isn't wasted. But what this construction site, what this windmill, once it's finally being built, is going to do is it's going to let us make sugar. But there's one very important thing you have to remember, and that is that we need a place to store our sugar, because sugar can't be stored in the silo. It also can't be stored in the woodshed. Sugar is a perishable good. So we're going to have to come here, and actually I'm going to build it on this side. And we're going to have to build a storehouse, because a storehouse is going to allow us to store our crafted goods, which sugar is a crafted good. But we only have 14,000 money and we need 20,000. So a little tip here is you don't actually need all of these pawns. And these pawns can actually be sold for 5,000 each. So selling some of these pawns is actually not a bad idea. After you play Townstar a couple times, you'll kind of have a better idea for what pawns you actually use and which ones you don't. But yeah, normally selling a couple pawns is a good way to generate a little bit of extra cash so that we can start making our sugar. So let's come down here. Now that we've sold 2 pawns, we have 24,000 and we can get this construction site going. So this one is almost finished, and then our builder's going to get to work on that one, and it's going to ensure that we continue using all this wood that we're gathering here. All right, so this construction site is ready to complete. Now, just like the other buildings, the windmill is going to cost money to operate, another 50 a minute added. And this guy can actually craft different things. So buildings have different things they can craft, but because we're doing a sugar rush, and the reason we're rushing sugar is because it's the most valuable of these two. Of these 3, more valuable than these 2. So we're going to make this, and as soon as we click make, this guy's going to start running out of his windmill, and creating sugar actually costs 2 wood as well as 6 sugar cane. That is pretty nice here. We got a little bit of a farm running. So now our lumberjack is producing wood, which he's consuming. Both of our farmers are gathering wheat. But you'll notice we have one really big inefficiency here, which is that now that we got rid of this wheat but still have 2 farmers, oftentimes one of our farmers has nothing to do. So you'll see this farmer, he's actually just walking over here and he goes to sleep. And that's not good. So we need to make sure that there's more work that our farmers are able to do. And we're going to try to plant a second sugarcane field right here. And I believe this one should be auto-watered as well. And yeah, it is. So now that's great. We're going to have 2 farmers working on 2 plants, and they're going to stay really busy. And it's going to help make sure that we don't run out of sugarcane here for our windmill. The storehouse is getting constructed here, just needs one more piece of wood, and there will be a place for this guy to put his first sugar. So we actually timed this all very well. All right, our storehouse is done. So the storehouse actually doesn't cost passive money, which is really nice. It's kind of like the silo and the woodshed. Because there's no worker that actually mans the building doesn't cost money to exist. It's only the ones that have an employee that you're paying that cost money every minute in order to operate. So I think it's probably a good idea to make another windmill now. But it's important that I explain to you guys how the wind blocking mechanics work in this game. Well, actually, there's several passive effects that different buildings and different things in the game have on each other. So one is wind blockage. So this windmill will actually mill the sugar faster or slower based on what buildings are around it. And this express depot, well, the depots don't actually provide any wind block at all because it's just a road. And then this is a very short structure, so it only goes one block over. So this guy is actually fully operational. But windmills and then silos as well are tall buildings. And then this is, I believe, a medium building. So this affects 2 squares over. And this actually affects all the way to 3 squares over. So it's super, super tall. And since windmills are tall as well, you need to spread out your windmills really, really well. So you'll notice now we have both of our farmers walking back to the silo, but one of these is already ready. It's actually good with sugarcane because it grows so fast to have one additional farmer than you have sugar canes. And one farmer might sleep for a little bit, but then when you have 4 farmers on 3, it actually works pretty efficiently. And you'll notice that the woodshed is full, so constructing some more things is not a bad idea anyway. So we're going to drop another road here and drop another farmer house. That gets our worker back working again. And yeah, keeps everything moving along. We now have 2 sugars in here. So let me show you why we're now rushing to sugar. So remember that wheat is only worth 3,000 and then sugarcane is worth 4,000, but then actually having the finished product sugar is worth 31,000. This is going to be how we start scaling our farm, is with our sugar sales. But you'll notice that we are running into an issue, and that is that this is now blinking red. The next minute cost is going to be 160,000, but we only have 91 money. So that's an issue, especially because we don't have any up and coming sales that are right around the corner. So I am actually going to sell one more pond, and it's going to keep us going for a little bit longer. We're also going to turn this farmer on and see if he gets to work. He actually doesn't have anything to do until this comes up in 13 seconds. But hopefully we can get another sugarcane going pretty soon as well. Let's see, how many waters does this spot get? It gets 1, 2, and then from this one it gets 3, 4. Then from this it gets 5, from this it gets 6, from this it gets 7. It needs 1 more water in order to be a growing spot. Now, the reason I point that out is because if you keep a pond here, then you're going to be able to grow a sugarcane here just fine. I did not keep a water there, but it is okay for me. I can kind of use my crutch a little bit here and set this little alpha fountain down, and now this will grow automatically as well. And now we're just getting our sugar going a little bit faster. And like I said, be careful. Make sure you sell this pond, pond instead of this pond, and then you can keep the sugar going without this crutch. So now hopefully we should start to build up some sugar cane, which means that we can get a windmill going, but we have to wait until we sell at least one of our batches of tin sugar so that we can start scaling the sugar production. So that means we're going to wait a little bit, and you will notice, guys, that this game does require some patience. So now it's okay to grab some coffee, maybe listen to a podcast, and just relax and vibe. And if you place the top 300 in all 4 tournaments this month, then that's a minimum of $1,200 that you would earn playing this game. which, yeah, that's a pretty relaxing, nice life if you ask me. That's pretty cool. So I'm just going to continue developing this farm and then show you guys how to build your first gas production so that you can have a fully sustainable town in Townstar. And yeah, once you get the gas production figured out, you're going to be completely A-okay from then on. All right, guys, so I was actually just thinking about the design that I'm going to do for this, and I'm not going to actually use these ponds. I'm actually going to remove all of this here, and I'm probably going to do my like gas production around here. So I'm going to dump these ponds, which is going to get me some money. And because we are actually stacking sugarcane now, I'm going to put, and we keep maxing out on wood, I'm going to drop my other windmill here now. So we sold all those ponds to raise money faster so that we can start scaling this a little bit quicker. I'm a little impatient, but I'm hoping that this will not affect the speed either. There's a little test here. And we may have two slightly like medium speed ones after this, but I think this might be okay. The other thing that buildings passively give off, by the way, besides wind block, is shade. So if you build a building like right next to crops, for example, the crops are going to grow a lot slower because they're not going to be getting as much sunlight. So that's important to remember when designing your town as well. You'll see that we now have 13 of the sugarcane in here. So we're definitely producing more sugarcane than this one mill can use. So we're going to turn this other mill on now. Have him making sugar as well. And yeah, that's great. Now, this lumberjack is having to run further and further. And eventually, he's going to farm all of this up. But I think now for having two mills running, in order to make sure that we have enough wood to do our construction as well, we actually need to add another lumberjack now. But you'll also see that we don't have a ton of money right now, so I just might leave it until we get our first actual sugar sale. You can see we have 6 in here now. And yeah, we did slow down our mills a little bit, so these are a little bit too close together, which is not great, but I'm not gonna waste the money in order to move them further apart. They'll just be what they be. But this mill that we'll put in the corner will definitely be full speed and won't slow this one down anymore. And honestly, guys, the actual milling time is only like one of the timers. If you think about it, another one of the timers is how long it takes for your worker to run back and forth and get all of his wood and sugarcane. And that is actually the much longer timer. So this timer isn't really all that much of the time that it takes for the sugar to be made anyway. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, it's better if obviously everything is as fast as possible. But I'm not that worried about it. It's not going to actually affect my game that much at all. So I'm just going to leave it. Once I have the gas made and the whole infrastructure set up and start pushing out cakes and just easily climb into the top 300, you'll see that some of these early mistakes, they just aren't that consequential. It's about building up to something substantial. And it's just like moving in the right direction, just like letting your farmers do their stuff and slowly generating that money. This poor wheat is still just sitting there. It's too bad. I could actually try to just grow 9 more wheat and get a clean sale, but there's not actually room for 10 wheat to sit in there and sugarcane. So that's the issue I was talking about before. But as long as we have our mills hopefully starting to like use all the sugar that comes in so that our input and our output are the same, then you can actually keep only one silo going the entire time if you're crazy like me. But you do lose a product every once in a while, but you can keep it relatively like streamlined. So we almost have our 10 wheat. We're at 9 wheat now. I'm going to do a little rotate on this board though. I think a little bit better when everything is square. So let's see, how do I want to think about this farm? From what angle feels the best? I think I'm going to do it like this. I like having the water up there. It's nice. And also, most of my industrial stuff's going to be back there eventually. Except I am going to need some salt to not have pollution. By the way, when you do some of the gas stuff, it's going to create pollution, which makes stuff grow slower around where you're doing the polluting. So I need to have my salt eventually by the ocean, but then not by my polluting industrial buildings. So I'll have to think about that a little bit. We'll see when we get there. It'll be a while. And when I say a while, I mean a couple days, or at least a number of hours. Both of our mills are milling the sugar. We got 28 seconds on this one. 20 seconds now, and we finally get to make our first sugar sale. And then what we're going to do with that first sugar sale is finally get our lumberjack going, another lumberjack going, and a third mill going. Because our mills, our sugar production, that is how we make our money. And as long as we have some sugar cane in here, then we need more mills. As soon as the sugar cane number starts going down, then we know we need more sugar. And yeah, that's pretty much how it works. You see what you have too much of and what you don't have enough of. Come on, hero. Do it. Go in there, man. You got it. Yeah. All right, here we go. So now we're going to make a $31,000 sale. By the way, sending to different cities doesn't matter. So it's always best. Every city pays the same for every good. Just send it to the closest city that costs the least gas. All right, the truck is back, and now we're flooded with money. Amazing. All right, so the next move is going to be making our next mill, and we're going to try to keep these mills as off to the side as we can. So I'm actually going to spend $15,000 on this. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. We're going to build another mill over here. This mill, if it's too close here, we'll provide some shade on that, which we don't necessarily want. This will slow that down here, but right here it will be fine, and it will be fine here, so it won't do any harm, only good. So we're going to actually drop our next mill there. And I might as well connect this path. It's maybe not worth it, to be honest, but it will make our mill runner do a little bit faster since he has a fully connected road here. All right, so that's one half of our plan. Then the other thing is we need to get another lumberjack in here. Unfortunately, there's trees everywhere, and all these trees cost money to remove. Where do we put our lumberjack? Maybe we just do it here. If I do it here, I can build something there and there, so we'll put a little path here. It's totally fine later on, guys, when you're trying to do things more efficiently to rearrange things. But at the beginning of the game, you kind of just have to place stuff where you place it by necessity. So we're going to run into a problem after we use this other lumberjack, and that is that these two lumberjacks together are definitely going to start emptying out these forests. So we need to find a good place to plant an ever-growing tree, which is kind of just like a crop version of a tree. I'm hoping this will work, but we'll see. Nope, only 4 water gets here, and we need 7, so it's important here to find a 7 spot so that we don't need any of the farmers to be bringing water back and forth to the tree, because that's useless work for a farmer when trees normally don't need any effort from a farmer at all. So let's see, right here we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's still not enough. Here, I think this alpha fountain works just like a pond. So I believe it generates 2 to things near it. And this only needs 1. What if we move this here? Well, let's see. The nice thing about NFTs is I can just drop them and place them for free in their instant, which is really cool. We're going to see if this generates enough water for this. Yes, it is enough. Okay, cool. So then now we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is exactly what we need. Absolutely perfect for our tree farm. Wonderful. So now I know that I told you guys to have a pond here, but who knows? Obviously, I mean, it's just the idea, the concepts that are important. You guys can design your farms however you'd like. But if you need, it is very important, and I'll be doing this eventually, but under terrain, you can create ponds as well. But the ponds cost 20,000, so just keep that in mind, because if you delete a pond for 5,000, yeah, that's nice, but then if you want that pond back, it costs you 4 times as much to create the pond. So just keep that in mind. Ponds cost more to build than you get out of removing them. So now you can see we actually ran out of wood in our woodshed, but we have these lumberjacks running back and forth, and part of the reason that we're running out of wood is because our builder is constructing things. But what is really important to keep in mind is that if there's no wood in your woodshed, you will not be able to build anything new. So it's important to have enough wood. You actually want a little bit more wood generation than you have just natural wood usage in your economy. You want a little bit of a surplus, because without that surplus, this is what's going to happen. Your worker's just going to go right back in their house and go to sleep, because even though there's a project that they're almost done with, there's just no wood for them to use, so they can't keep the project going. So you can see right now my lumberjacks are actually busy trying to bring the wood to these windmills so these windmills can keep making sugar, which is good because sugar is how we make our money. But it also means that the lumberjacks aren't even bringing the wood to the woodshed yet, because there's just like a more pressing need for the wood. So it's important that you don't let stuff get out of whack like I just did right here. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it means a little bit of waiting now. And you might say, well, why don't you just build another lumberjack? And that's not necessarily a bad idea, especially with 3 windmills in here. But at the same time, I do think we're generating enough wood here that we are going to start to build a surplus. But actually, maybe that's not true after this windmill is done. Maybe it is a good idea to build a 3rd one. I think we will. We have enough money here. But lumberjacks are so expensive, which is why I hesitate. 50 a minute adds up really fast. Now, later on, that doesn't matter at all. Sugar does generate a lot of money, and 50 a minute might not seem like a lot, but it is generally good to keep your costs as low as you can while running an efficient farm. But there's a strong argument to be made right now that with an idle worker and an almost finished windmill, this is not that efficient of a farm. The good news is, though, right now, this wood doesn't have any place to go except for the wood farm. So we're going to finally get this built. I think I'm going to give in. We need to build another lumberjack. Here we go. Our windmill is finally done. Now we got another guy making sugar. You can see our sugar was still building up, so now hopefully it should actually be pretty even and maybe start to go down a little bit. The most important thing is now we're generating a lot of sugar. So once we have another 3 or 4 of these, we're going to have a lot of income coming in, and that is when we're going to start working on our gas production. So the goal at this stage of the game is just to continue to scale the production of sugar and get a mighty amount of cash flow coming in so that we can create our gas production, because the gas production is actually just going to be a little bit of a drain on our net income, because it's not going to generate any new cash for us, but it is going to enable us to sell our sugar, which is really important, but it has a lot of costs associated with it. It's very expensive to build. There's a lot of buildings we need to build. There's a lot of passive income that it costs. But once you have passive gas up and running, then your farm is truly self-sustaining. And when we have 7 windmills up and running producing sugar, we can totally afford the whole fuel plant and everything, and continue to have profit to keep expanding our farm. So that's the main goal. That's like the first big hurdle to overcome in this game, and then it's a lot of smooth sailing. So you can see this is the distance you have to do. You have to have 2 little squares in between if they're sparse like this. I think if this was here, these actually would inflict, but because they're 2 over, they don't. But yeah, we have a lot more sugar coming now with 3 of these going. It's going to be nice once we do our next sale and can get a 4th one going. It is important, guys, not to have more mills than you can produce in sugar. And you'll see now that actually our sugar is starting to go down. So our next step before another mill is actually to get a little bit more sugar coming in. I think it might be time to start creating some of our own ponds. Alright, so now I'm finally building my first pond. I'm going to do it over here and try to keep most of the watering over here because I have most of my strongest ponds over here already. So I might as well develop this space. And then also I do think I'm going to have most of my farming kind of down in this section over here. So it's going to be good to develop some water over here rather than over here. And once I have one more pond here, I think I can move this alpha fountain over here too and get a lot of spots open. But just this should open some spots. I think it will then allow me to delete this marsh, and this will still have enough water here, and then this spot should have enough water too. You can see now that we are completely out of sugarcane. I'm actually going to flush this as soon as that is done. Alright, we finally got rid of that one wheat that has been plaguing us. I maybe could have left it. It will become useful eventually, but not for a long while. We have a lot of fully grown sugar here, and our farmers seem to be a little bit overworked. So let's actually add another farmer to help us get everything done. So you can see now a little bit of inefficiency here, just because I can't have this farmer is not getting built, unfortunately, as the worker is very, very dedicated towards filling up this pond still. So what happens is all these guys rush towards the silo to grab one sugar, and then the sugar gets grabbed, and then these guys are like, oh no, there's no more sugar in the silo. And then they just run back home and cry, and that makes me cry too, because it means that I am now wasting $50 a minute on both these guys. And there's no work they can do simply because we're not gathering sugar fast enough. So this is a little bit of an issue in our supply chain, but we're going to get it worked out as fast as we can. Thankfully, 2 sugars were just brought in, but there's 3 guys on the way. But then luckily there'll be another one for the other guy pretty quickly after. He'll only turn away for a second. Oh no, there's no sugar. Oh yes, there's sugar again. It's really important, guys. I can't stress this enough. Like, building another windmill right now would be a very bad idea until I can get my sugar production up, because I already can't fully use the 3 windmills that I have. We have enough lumberjacks now to keep things going. Unfortunately, we are going to run out of forest soon, because remember, I did destroy that one tree and replaced it with a sugar cane. But hopefully we'll be able to plant another tree very soon. We're just waiting for this worker to grab one more bucket of water. Our pond is almost ready. All right, let's see if we can plant a tree here now that there's a pond there. I'm not sure if we can, but I do want to test it. Yes, we can. That's wonderful. Okay, and then I believe I can destroy this now. We're getting a little bit low on money, but we're going to have a new sale soon. And I believe I can plant a sugarcane here. Yep, and that's awesome. So now we got a whole other sugarcane going. Oh, finally another farmer getting to work. We're probably going to need another farmer to get to work now, because we have a lot of sugar canes. All right, we have now scaled. We have a ever-growing tree, which is great for our lumberjacks. And we should be producing a lot more sugar cane now. So hopefully there'll be less of this back and forth without grabbing anything. So now you'll see, at this point in the game, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 farmers, 3 lumberjacks, 3 windmills, a storehouse, and 1 tree planted. A bunch of little, I think 5 sugar canes. Honestly, you could probably even do 6 farmers for 5 sugar canes. Finally, we're at a place now where all of our guys have their sugar cane, and there's still 1 left in there. That's so nice. That's why it's good, guys, especially early on. Just focus on one thing. Make one profitable product and try to scale it. It's definitely the best way. And it does not need to be sugar, by the way. There's a lot of things you could sell. I really actually want to try a farming start. I haven't done that before, but I know farming is very profitable because I have to make eggs and milk eventually for my cakes. So I think that could be a fun start. And instead of farmers, you could have ranchers. See, we're slowly losing gas here. We've used 6 so far. We actually have a lot of runway left, but like I said, it is very expensive to build up gas production, so that's why we're only going to go to 6 or 7 windmills here before we start building gas. All right, this is the last payment we can afford, I believe. All right, so I'm not actually going to grab this money yet. I'm going to show you guys what happens when we run out of money for the farm. Uh-oh. All right, I can't pay the salary. I'm sorry, guys. No, they just destroyed everything. You evil people. Ah! And then, yeah, they'll just all go to sleep. You'll wake up and your whole town will be asleep. All right, that's enough time wasting. Let's grab some money and get our employees paid. All right, go back to work, everyone. Go back to work. We got money. We got money. Come on. We're going to start clearing some of this forest so that we can more efficiently use this space here. So the next goal is to start producing a surplus of sugar, have more sugar than we need, so that I can create the next windmill. You still seem to have a lot of stuff ready for the farmers. I wonder if we could support one more on the current sugar supply. You can see in the time that we've been playing so far, we've already gone from 2,000 to 944, and we've barely started ramping anything yet. So guys, a good thing is happening here now. You can see we have 5 sugarcane in the silo, which means that we might finally be producing enough sugarcane to fully support these 3. And if we can get up to like 10 or 11 again, then I will know for certain that I can build my 4th windmill, which will be a really exciting development, as that is progress. Ooh, we're up to 6 sugarcane. That's a good sign. And hopefully we'll start producing a little bit faster here. Although if a farmer starts going to sleep, then we'll know that we finally have enough farmers to do all of our farming effectively. He took a while to come out, actually, and now this guy's going to sleep. So I think that means that we need to get another sugarcane planted. All right, guys, so this is really great. We just made our next sale, and we're up to 11 sugarcane in the silo. So that means we can definitely make our next windmill now. There's actually going to be 2 trees we're going to take out here. I think we're going to take out a tree here. Ooh, it's an expensive removal process right there. And then we're going to drop a fully functioning windmill straight in the corner here. Yes, to run a little bit of a ways, but I don't think it's too bad. We can also remove this tree and grow another sugar if we do start running low on sugarcane here once all 4 of these silos are going. But the good news is we're well on the way to having faster sale times. Alright guys, it looks like things at my farm have been running nicely. Except that there's some farmers asleep. I have another mill that can turn on now, so that's great. We have even more sugar production, and you can see that while I was away, we started maxing out on our silo, so that's really not good. So as soon as we sell this sugar, actually let's sell some sugar cane first. Might as well grab 4,000 free gold here. We're not going to be running out of gas. So we finally got our money coming in. It's wonderful. Construction site done. And another windmill going up. So we're going to be at 5. Oh, I forgot. That was only sugar cane. That wasn't my sugar. I have to do my actual sugar sale now. Alright, that's the sale we were looking for. So now we can drop even another windmill here. And we're going to delete this tree. And drop another sugarcane field, which I believe is going to have plenty of water there. Yep, it does. And now hopefully we won't have an issue with any farmers going to sleep. And we should have even slightly more sugarcane production for this next windmill. Now, one thing you'll notice is that we're starting to finally start dwindling down on wood again, which is not good. We definitely don't want that. So that means that we need another lumberjack to get to work. So a lot of successful expansion here happening on our town. Now we will probably start running out of wood now. I probably should put another tree down. I'm actually cutting it a little bit close right now. You'll see that I only have enough money for 3 more payments, and I don't have enough sugar for my next sale yet. You can see here we barely have enough money for this last minute of work. We just barely had enough money to make our final payment. Alright, so now the question is whether or not we need more lumberjacks. We definitely need more wood, so we have to make this little upgrade. Alright, so now do these 4 lumberjacks produce enough wood to actually get this thing built? Honestly, after we build this thing, it's going to be more passive wood usage anyway, so I think we might as well just build another lumberjack. Now, one tip I will give is that the more expenses your farm gets, the more money you need to just passively leave in your bank account. Because you're going to be spending a lot more money later on in the game than you think, just passively running your farm. So it's good to leave a little bit of a cushion there, and you want to kind of just keep growing this cushion as you start generating more and more money. Because remember, when we were looking at this before, we had $50 of expenses a while back when we were starting, and now we have 10x that amount of expenses, over 500. And this can 10x again when we start having more expensive employees. Some things take a little bit of time to play out, so it's important not to overcorrect because you're not giving it enough time to see how your economy is really working. Let's build some paths with our money here and just see if we can't speed up everything a little bit. You know what? We're also just going to straight up put 1 more lumberjack to work. Hey, we finally got wood in our woodshed. So our construction can continue. Alright, our 5th windmill is done, and now we have another person working on sugar, which is great because we have plenty of sugarcane in here. Alright guys, so we're starting to move a lot faster now. As soon as this tree gets chopped down, I'm actually going to build another windmill here. But this windmill is actually probably going to start shading these and might slow them down a little bit. But we're almost ready to move these over to our actual farming area. And we do currently have an excess of sugarcane, so slowing these down a little bit in the short term might not be that big of a deal, but we might actually be okay. So it's time for a little bit of farm management now. So I actually want to build another windmill right here where this weed is. And I also kind of am done with this space because it's going to be hard to efficiently grow here when we start to build buildings around it. There'll be too much shade and stuff. But we have plenty of space over here. So we're going to have to migrate some of this stuff over here. There's a really nice spot. I can actually plant some sugarcane here that will grow instantly if I remove this. And then I can also instantly grow some sugarcane here if I remove this tree. So that will cost me $20,000 to remove both of these things and plant new sugarcane here. And then I can delete both of these. And then I can even move my alpha fountain OK over here and plant some additional trees. Or maybe I'll move it over here and plant my trees on this side. I guess we can destroy this right now. We got to get our sugar up and running again. Make sure that we don't run out. It's nice that we had a lot of sugar here, which gives us a little bit of time to reorganize some stuff. Right now I'm just going to remove this. And now we go back to the same sugar production that we had before. Although this sugar cane looks to be a little bit too close to the ocean, so it's going to grow a little bit slower than prime, but it's okay. Alright, they're almost done with this, so that means that we can almost build our final windmill before we start setting up gas production. Alrighty guys, so we now have all 7 windmills that we were trying to set up in order to have enough profitability to build a self-sustaining gas plant. So now the next bit of time, I'm just going to be saving up money and trying to optimize my supply chain. So currently I'm actually starting to run low on sugarcane, and I know it looks like I have a good amount here, but it has gone down from about 19 to 9. So I know that I'm using sugarcane faster than I'm generating it. The next thing is probably just going to be making sure that I have enough sugar planted and enough farmers to gather it all, and no inefficiency in the number of farmers to plants, and then also no inefficiencies in the amount of sugar that I need or sugar cane that I need to reduce sugar and the amount of sugar cane that I'm producing. So as you guys can see now, I've been building up cash. I'm at 77,000. This still is not enough to start doing gas production yet. But the first issue I have to solve is that I'm actually completely running out of sugar cane. But the good news is, while I'm just fiddling with this supply and demand infrastructure that I have here, I'm also slowly gaining money because I'm not spending that much and I'm sitting around a lot. And this is really good because eventually, remember, we're going to need a lot of money to produce self-sustaining gas. But we still have over half of our gas left, so we're in a really good spot and we have all the time in the world. So we have a lot of money now. Well, not a lot, but enough to get started on making our town self-sustaining by being able to generate gasoline so that we can continue making deliveries. And we also got our sugar cane production up. So you can see that we have 18, 19 now. We're doing really good on sugar cane, which means that we are successfully running our windmills. You will notice though that we do have 0 wood, so actually it's probably a good idea to build another lumberjack really quick before we do too much else, because we are going to need that excess wood production in order to actually build all the buildings that we're going to need to construct for gas production. So if you'd like, this is a little shot of kind of where you want your town to be at when you start going towards your gas production. So you can see I have 7 windmills up. All the windmills are creating sugar. And then I have 7 sugar cane fields and 8 farmers. You can also see that we have 7 lumberjack houses as well. And they have a lot of natural wood on the map, but we also have 3 planted tree farms. And it seems to be enough, although this lumberjack right here appears to be going through his house to go to sleep. So that means that we could probably plant 1 more tree. So we're going to do that right here. Cool. Now that should keep all of our lumberjacks very busy. And you can see we've started piling up our wood again now that we added that extra lumberjack. So now this extra wood as well, we should be in a really good spot to be able to construct buildings because we should have excess wood, which we need. During this section of the game, you're about to do a lot of construction. So if you'd like to speed up your building process a little bit, you can actually place down a second builder house. I'm going to do that just because I don't like waiting for everything, because it can take quite a while for one builder to do all of the construction that's necessary. But at the same time, we are going to need to be able to continue even making more money than this to really build everything that we need to build. But we have 19 gas still, so we're going to be able to make a ton of sales in order to fund the construction of our gasoline. So we want to clear out some of this area because we're going to do some construction here. So we're going to need to remove this tree. And then in order to build the refineries that we need to build, we're going to need some paths. So they're going to need to be upgraded paths, but we need to create dirt roads first in order to upgrade them to the more powerful roads. So now we can hit upgrade here. Upgrade this one as well. And then we're going to need water pumps because the refineries that we're going to be building are going to need a lot of water. And you can see these cost 50,000 each. So definitely not cheap. Also, these roads, they take 3 wood each. So as you can see, we have a lot of building that's about to happen, and it's not going to be cheap building either. It's a lot of expensive stuff. So that's why you need to make sure that you have all of the sugar production, or at least some kind of production. You don't have to do sugar, but you have to be producing a lot of income in order to build your gas plant. And guys, just so you know, you can do the same setup that I'm doing right here, which by the way is a really good setup for producing gas. You can do it against any water. Like you could literally have these 2 pumps against like the back of a pond or on a river, but yep, an ocean works as well. And that's what we're going to be using in today's setup. All right, now that we have our first paved road finished, we can build a refinery. And I do want to note, guys, these refineries cost 200 a minute to have. So you don't want to finish the construction of them until you're actually ready to make gas. You kind of just want to leave them ready. So you can see that I actually kind of am producing too much sugarcane here. We're starting to build up this number. And by the way, I built a second silo here, which is why I'm able to have 27. Eventually, I'm going to actually be removing this silo, but for now, it's fine to have 2 because I am overproducing sugar a bit. So yeah, because of that, I might actually build an 8th windmill out here. It will delay my gas a little bit, but I feel like with 18 fuel, since I didn't actually have to sell any fuel to make it through the early game, I might have enough fuel to be able to like delay my gas production a little bit. If you did have to sell some fuel in the early game though, you probably don't want to waste any money on this. This is going to require more wood again, so it might force me to plant even another tree. All right, guys, so the first refinery is ready, but like I said, remember this costs 200 a minute to operate, and we totally don't have the infrastructure set up for him to successfully operate yet. So we're just going to leave him ready to build and not construct him so that we don't waste a lot of money. We're going to continue the construction now of our gas plant. So yeah, you need 2 refineries, 1 connected to each of the water pumps. And each of them also needs to be built off of a paved road, which is why we had to do 2 paved roads here. All right, so both of our refineries are finished now, but we need to finish the rest of the prerequisites that we need in order to make these actually operational and useful to us. One of those things is that we probably want a new fuel station that isn't so far away so that our workers don't have to run that far. So we're going to destroy this marsh and we're going to replace it with a brand new fuel storage. We're also going to need some power though to power our refineries. So we're going to come over here where we still have some open space, and we're going to drop a few of the wind turbines. We're going to try to replace these wind turbines with a power station as soon as possible. But even building a power station requires that you first have some batteries, so the wind turbines are kind of a necessity. The wind turbines are fine to turn on right away because they don't cost anything, but we don't yet have a way to actually gather the energy that it's going to be producing. Now, it's also very important that we build a warehouse, because without a warehouse, we can't store industrial goods like the energy that's going to be generated at this wind turbine and this wind turbine. So now we're going to construct our warehouse, and now that our warehouse is constructed, we have a place to start storing energy. So that means that we can finally build our very first worker house. It's a good idea to have your worker house kind of near where you have all of your industrial storage, because the worker is going to be having to go back and forth between these buildings pretty often. Now the worker is going to come down here and start collecting this energy. Now there's one other kind of energy that we're going to need, which is crude oil. So it's time to finally get rid of this builder house, because we're going to be making some oil rigs right in this corner. All right, so we're dropping our first oil pump, and we're going to drop our second oil pump. All right, so now our second oil pump is going to get constructed as well, and we almost have everything ready to start actually producing some gas. All right, here goes our first oil pump. It will start pumping crude oil, which our refineries are going to use to eventually create gas. And actually, I think we're close enough to being ready that it's finally time to turn on our refineries and have at least one of them start getting to work. So you can see he's now costing an extra $200 a minute, which is really expensive. But we can finally start making petroleum. Petroleum is going to take 2 crude oil, 2 energy, and 1 water, but we have water automatically because we're connected to a water pump. So I'm going to click Make Petroleum, and then with the petroleum, we're going to be able to use that later on to actually create our gasoline from the second refinery. So I tell him to get to work and he instantly gets started. He's going to pick up this first energy, then a second energy. You can see he automatically has that water drum because he's connected to this water pump. All right, we've now constructed, or we are constructing, our third oil pump. And we're just picking up our first crude oil right now. And these 3 oil pumps should actually be enough for us this entire game. Because I'm going to be going for cakes this game, we aren't actually going to have that many deliveries, but the deliveries that we do have are going to be extremely high value. That means that cakes don't actually need a lot of gas in order for the build to work. They just need enough to make a delivery every once in a while. So now our gas problem is actually completely solved. But the reason I haven't started generating more gas yet is because I want to use all the gas out of here and get the crude oil out of here, delete this fuel storage so that my entire operation can run out of this close fuel storage to all of my buildings. Now it's also important to build a lumber mill because a lumber mill is going to be necessary to create our power plant. And once we create our power plant, the power plant will supply the power necessary to both of our refineries, and we can get rid of all of our windmills, which is going to free up a lot of space on the map for us, and it's just the next level of efficiency. But yeah, we need a lumber mill so that we can start producing a little bit of lumber in order to build our power plant. So I have now stopped 2 of our pumps. And the reason I've stopped 2 of the oil pumps is because we're almost out of gasoline now, and I want us to clear out of crude oil as well before I sell our fuel storage over here. Remember, we want to primarily use this one, and this one's filling up with a ton of petroleum, so it's going to be really easy for us to pump out a bunch of gas after we run out when we get this pump ready. Well, actually, we'll probably change this pump to create gas and have this guy... Actually, we're going to just turn this guy on now, and we're going to have him produce petroleum as well, and then eventually we're going to turn this guy on to gas. But right now, we now want to just empty this fuel storage out of crude oil because it's almost out of gas, and then we can finally remove that. So right next to our lumber mill, it's a really good idea to set up a lumber yard. So we're going to do that. It's going to bring us pretty low on money, so... we got to be careful about that, but I think we'll be okay. So normally with this low of money, only 10,000 with 1,400 a minute of expenses and only 2 gas left, I would be pretty worried. But remember that it's going to be really easy for us to make more gas because we have all of this petroleum just waiting to be turned into gas. That said, we shouldn't be too cocky, and I probably shouldn't spend any more money. I should just save up this money we get from these last 2 sales until I have a steady stream of gas filling up in this fuel storage. All of the stuff that I've been building for the last little while, by the way, is just adding to our expenses and isn't really growing our income at all. This right here is the core of our economy. This is what's generating our GDP, our income, and it's going to be important to continue strengthening our raw production as soon as we're done with all of these fundamental parts of a self-sustaining town, which is namely being able to generate our own gas, but then also generate our own power and generate our own lumber. All right, guys, so we did it. We successfully completely ran out of gas, which is not normally an accomplishment, but it means I can finally delete this fuel storage. Once this guy is finished generating this last petroleum, we can finally change him to gas, and we'll start generating some gas again. And we should have enough money to last us. Alright, now we turn this guy to gasoline production, and he only needs 1 petroleum per gasoline. So most of his time is going to be spent waiting on energy here. But that is only until we're able to construct our power plant. Alright, so now you can see an issue that we run into when we are out of gas. Now luckily it's not going to be a big issue for us because we're already prepared for this. But currently we have another tin sugar, but we have no gas, so it's actually impossible to profit off of the sugar because we can't sell it. Now thankfully we have our refinery going right now, and all he needs is 3 more energy, which he can grab out of here. And our builder guy is now going to get more energy. So 2 more energy in the tank, and we will be popping out a gas to be able to sell our tin sugar. You can see currently though, this is pretty inefficient, and it's really important that we get a power plant right here, because the power plant will start providing passive energy to both of these refineries, and it will also produce batteries as well. We're finally generating our very first homemade gas as soon as this energy makes it into the refinery. Yeah, there we go. Here comes the pollution into the sky. Perfect. So 24 seconds, we'll have our first gasoline. Our first gasoline is here, and we can sell sugar once again. Alright, in order to speed up the rate at which we're collecting energy, which is currently our shortfall right now, we're going to build another builder house, but just for a while until we can get our power plant made. Alright, so now the only thing to do is simply wait until we have enough money to finally build our power plant. But part of that enough money means enough money to also create another water pump, because we need to connect a water pump to this lumber mill in order for it to create the lumber that we're going to need to then use to create our power plant. So we're actually producing gas so slowly that we're almost maxing out on the sugar that we can have. Luckily, we just made another gas, so we can sell the sugar and go back down to 8, so we're okay. And we are now going to be generating gas slightly faster, because energy is what was stopping us from making gas. And with 2 guys, we're definitely collecting our energy faster. So we are almost ready to build our power plant. But first, we're going to need a little bit of lumber. So let's build ourselves a water pump. Start stacking up some lumber so that we'll have enough lumber to actually build our power plant when we're ready. So guys, just so you know, you can create a building to create water barrels, which is called the water facility. It's only 10,000, but it's a technology that is going to go obsolete really quick anyway, so I like to try and skip it. But just know that if you don't have enough money for all of the water pumps that you need, you can do the water barrel thing. It's just really not as good and not as efficient. It's a lot like how you want all your crops to be auto-watered. You also want all of your buildings to be auto-watered. And then you want as much to be auto-energied as well, which is why we're now saving up for our power plant. So now we have 1 gas, so we can make 1 more sale. We also have enough money to actually create our power plant. So it's finally time to make the power plant, but we're going to need 5 energy, 5 wood, and 5 lumber to construct the power plant. So we want to make sure the energy is not getting used to create more gas. The energy has to be used for the lumber mill and the actual construction site. But I think with 24,000 gold in the bank and enough gas to make 1 more sale, so that puts us at a little over $55,000. That should be plenty of time to get all of this up and running, and then our gas production back up and running. So this construction site now only needs 1 more lumber, and the lumber guy has all the energy he needs now to finally build his last lumber. But it's very important that after he is done producing this last piece of lumber that we need for the construction site of the power plant, that we shut him off. So as soon as he's done with this, we're going to shut him off, because if we don't shut him off, he's going to continue stealing energy, which we need to complete the power plant. And once the power plant is complete, then this guy doesn't need any more batteries. He'll have it passively. So it's really important that now we shut him off. So he'll finish this. This will get all the lumber it needs, and then all the rest of this energy can go straight into the power plant. And as soon as the power plant is finished, we can turn both of our refineries on and really start storing up some gas. At this point, as soon as we're done, we're truly going to have a self-sustaining, very stable economy here that we can then continue to build up to become a more profitable powerhouse. The next step will be to move on from actually selling sugar to seeing what we can design that sugar helps to build. For example, batter. If we use our sugar in our batter or create some butter and then batter. We can sell those for a lot more and then eventually combine them and make cakes, which are going to sell for over 1,000,000 points per set of 10 cakes. So really, really profitable things that we can start scaling up to. And we're almost there. We're almost ready. We just need 2 more energy to go into this. 1 more energy is already ready, and the next energy should be on the way. All right, the final energy is slowly being walked to the power plant, which is really, really great. That means it's time to turn on the refineries once again. But first, let's quickly construct the power plant to give our refineries the passive energy that they require. Wonderful. So now you'll see, once we turn this guy back on and have him start making gasoline, that he's passively starting with 3 energy now instead of having 0. And when we turn this guy on to create petroleum, we can see that he has both the energy that he needs just passively from this. So now instead of our gas production requiring 8 batteries each time, we only take 3 batteries and it's only in the one that's creating gasoline. So that really helps us out. And then what also helps us out is beyond creating passive energy to the lumber mill and both of these refineries and eventually a bakery as well right here, this is also going to be charging energy into batteries from crude oil. So this means that finally we can actually get rid of both of our wind turbines, which is really, really nice. You can see a bunch of trees instantly pop up when we do that. And we'll get rid of this one as well. Really cool. Opens up a lot more room for us to build even more windmills and stuff to make our economy stronger in the future. We can get rid of this windmill as well, which was always very inefficient. And instead of those windmills, we're going straight to crude oil manufacturing, because not only is this crude oil going to get refined into petroleum, but also the crude oil is going to be what's used by the power plant to continue charging energy. What this probably also means is that we now only need 1 worker house. So that's really cool as well. So yeah, there you have it, guys. That is the initial Sugar Rush build. First, you start producing sugarcane, and then you quickly turn that sugarcane into sugar with our first windmill. You scale up your windmills to produce a lot of income, and once you have all that income generation, you can use it to build your self-sustaining gas generation through your refineries and your power plant. Now this farm is going to be able to continuously generate revenue without any worry of any dead ends. If we look at what we climbed to, we actually climbed all the way from 2,000 to 425. So I think with just a little bit more work, I'm going to be able to climb into the top 300 just fine. And for these tournaments that I'm going to be trying to place in this month, all you have to do is finish in the top 300. So you can see right now 300 is now 15,000 points, and yeah, we're almost halfway there. But you have to remember that now that we're going to start building into more expensive products, it's going to actually get faster and faster for us to generate points. So this first product that we want to build is probably going to be a bakery, because out of this bakery, we're going to be able to make a lot of cool stuff like butter, and then we're going to need to make a cakery to make batter, and then another cakery, well, 1 cakery at the beginning to then turn that batter into cakes. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, but we'll probably sell a little bit of butter along the way just to give us a little bit of a boost. So the next thing to do is save up for 200,000 points to build our bakery. And once we build our bakery, we'll see, oh, it's time to start generating some more raw resources as well. So then it will be time to even plant more things. We'll also have to start a dairy to start producing eggs and milk. So there's a lot of work to do now. And this is just the very base of our farm that's finished.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video of Townstar. Hopefully this helped you get started and now you have a much better idea how to play the game. I am not an expert at this game by any means. I barely understand the basics myself, but I have been able to finish in the top 200 in every Townstar tournament I've played, which means that if you follow these steps and if you kind of learn from this and if you get better than me even, then you could probably make a lot of money playing Townstar, because the top 200, all my finishes have been in the money so far, and I don't even feel like I'm that great of a player. Townstar is a really fun and relaxing game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a big thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to hit subscribe and click that notification bell, and you'll be notified when I post future blockchain gaming videos. Until next time, guys, have fun exploring the metaverse.